Hi, and welcome back to Dean and Development. In this video, I want to talk you through how I do my life planning. I'm creating this video because I had a conversation yesterday with a friend, and even though it's only February, he was telling me how he had already abandoned his New Year's resolutions. And I felt bad for him, and I shared how I approach my life planning. And I thought it would be cool to share it with a larger audience because I found that it's really helpful for myself, and I'm pretty confident it can help other people. So let's get started. So before I dive into any kind of specific planning, I like to identify what's important to me. And so I call this the key areas of life. Now, for different people, there are different ways that you can split up your life. For me, these are the categories that I believe I need to make consistent investments in for my life to be really balanced and really full. So we have faith, family, health and fitness, work and career, finances and wealth, personal growth and learning, community, refilling your cup, and service. I think a lot of these are pretty explanatory. I think they're pretty easy to understand. Just to highlight refilling your cup, that this is just how I recharge myself. So, hobbies, travel, entertainment, anything that allows me to get recentered and have the energy to be the best husband, father, friend that I can be. And believe that these areas are really beneficial and really help me categorize and break up my life in a good way. One thing I will highlight is work and career and finance and wealth. It used to be one category for me. It used to be one giant bucket. But then over time, I realized that there are things I need to do from a career perspective to make sure I am doing well at work and getting raises and promotions. But then I also needed to have focus on how to manage that money that I was getting for my job, how to eliminate debt, save and invest. And those were really two separate things. And when I grouped them together, I felt like I did it a disservice. So by splitting it up, it's really allowed me to highlight the finances and wealth aspect and really allocate more time and resources to be strategic with the money I'm making for my job. So once you've identified the key areas of life that are important to you, I go through what I call the life planning funnel. And so I go top to bottom. I do a 10-year plan. I basically, for those life areas, set a big picture direction of where I want to be in a decade. From there, I break it down into what I think I can accomplish this year to make sure I'm working on the way towards that 10-year plan. Now, I do not try to map out each year from 1 to 10. I map out year 1 and I leave years 2 to 10 pretty ambiguous. I leave it open because I want to give myself the flexibility, but I also don't want to be really overwhelmed by trying to figure out what year I'm going to do what. And so it prevents, paralysis by analysis. And so just focus on the first year. The gap from 2 to 10 is going to get you to that 10-year plan. And then you're ready to get started with the next step, which is structuring out your weekly calendar so that you structure your time for consistent progress. So there are things that you want to try to do on a weekly basis to make sure you're hitting your 1 year goal, and then you can eventually get to your 10-year vision. After that, I try to focus on daily tasks that can help me get there. Now, one caveat I'll mention is for some of the goals and some of the things you want to do and get to in a decade, you're not going to do a task every day. Like for example, if you want to be in a certain kind of physical shape in a decade, you don't have to work out every day, right? But you should work out 3 or 4 times a week minimum, right? So just know that from a daily task perspective, you're not going to do everything on your list every day, but it gives you some flexibility in knowing what you need to accomplish that specific day to get it done. So let's do an example here. So I have 2 kids. My son is 3.5, my daughter is 2. And so in a decade, when my kids are just beginning their teenage years, I really want to be a present and engaged father. And so to get there, in year 1, I want to make sure I'm doing something with my kids, with my family on a weekly basis. right? So I'm going to set the goal of trying to do 1 to 2 special family activities per week. Now on my calendar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put going to the pool every Tuesday because my kids are home from daycare on Tuesdays. I can take them right after I finish work. We can spend an hour or so at the pool, come home, clean up, bedtime. It'll work in my calendar. And then on Saturdays, I want to try and do an activity with them. And I know I am not going to hit every week doing both of these because life happens. I might be out of town, I might be sick, things happen. But if I aspire to try to do this on a somewhat consistent basis, I might hit it half the time. And so on a week where I'm planning out 2 events a week or 2 activities a week, if I'm hitting half the time, that means once a week I'm doing something with my kids, which is better than if I never plan for it. Because if I don't plan for it, I might go weeks without doing an activity. And so definitely keep that in mind. And then once I've defined my weekly calendar, then I go into my daily tasks. And so I read a study a while ago about what children need from their parents. And in that study, it said a child needs roughly 20 minutes of dedicated quality time with their parent to feel valued and to feel like they have a connection with their parent. And so my goal on a daily basis is to try to spend 30 minutes of quality time with them. So for example, today, me and my kids woke up, we wanted to make eggs for breakfast, so we spent time making eggs. So they helped me put salt and pepper and oil on the pan, then they helped me crack the eggs, then they helped me cook the eggs, and then after the eggs were finished, they helped me wash blueberries and strawberries so we can have some fruit with it. That entire process took like 45 minutes because my kids are young and things take a while. But that checked the box in terms of like my daily tasks with them. So I did that with them, and then I'm going to try and do the pool with them on Tuesday. And I have some stuff going on Saturday, so I don't know if I'm going to do the weekly activity on Saturday, but the combination of doing eggs with them today and a couple other small things throughout the week and the pool, it's something where I can feel like, yes, I'm spending time with my kids. It's not as much as I would like, but it's better than if I didn't try to allocate that time for them. So that's one example. Another example is working on health, right? So as I mentioned, I had a health issue last year. I gained about 50 pounds, and so now I'm finally medically cleared to start working out again, and now I need to start trying to get my body back into shape. It would be very unreasonable for me to try to do all of that in 1 year, right? Lose 50 pounds in 1 year and do it in a sustainable way and build muscle and have energy to do everything else I need to do without a crazy calorie deficit. And so my 10-year plan is, in my 40s, I want to have a fit and a strong body, right? I want to be flexible, I want to be strong, I want to be healthy. I don't want to have any major medical issues, right? I have a family history of heart disease and diabetes. I do not want to be going down that route when I'm in my 40s. So that's my 10-year goal. So this year, I want to lift weights or be active daily. And then so from a weekly calendar perspective, I've picked out a 6-day push-pull legs schedule. So it's 3 days push-pull legs, and then another 3 days, and then an active rest day. So that's going to be my schedule. I am starting off with super light weights. So literally 5-pound dumbbells for everything I'm doing because I'm recovering from a medical issue and I want to take it easy. But I'm doing these smaller workouts consistently to help me on that path to recovery. Now, on a daily basis, obviously I'm going to do the push-pull legs, but I also want to hit 10,000 steps because it's low intensity. I can get on my treadmill. I set it up in a way where my treadmill is facing a TV, so I can play video games. Like I play 2K while I walk. I walk for about an hour. That's 10,000 steps. I do some stretching afterwards, and then I do my 20 to 30 minute push-pull legs workout. And that's pretty much what I do. And on the days where it's my active rest day, I just do the steps and the yoga. But that's really how I plan it out. Now, as I said before, I'm not going to hit it every day, right? I'm going to miss days. Things happen. Yesterday, for example, I got to do the steps, but I didn't have time to do yoga or lift. But at least I did the steps. And so now today, because I missed yesterday, I need to get back on the wagon, right? I need to get back at it and be able to deliver. And so that's really how I try to break down the 10-year vision, break it down into a goal, and then build out the weekly calendar, the daily tasks in order to get me to where I want to go. So I want to give you an example of just what my calendar looks like. So I took a screenshot of a calendar week where I didn't have a bunch of other personal stuff on, but just to show how I blocked off my week, right? So you can see where my day starts. You can see the yellow is time with my kids, the red is work, the purple is kind of free time, right? Free time slash other things I would want to do around the house. So you can see free time on Sundays, but on Saturday you can see I'm grocery shopping or cleaning up or doing laundry. But I think the most important thing is in the afternoons or after work, you can see what I'm prioritizing, right? So after 3 p.m. on Sunday, I'm going to visit my mom. On Monday, I go to the Cairo, I pick up my kids, we do something afterwards. Tuesday, it's the pool. Wednesday, nothing is planned. I'm just at home. It's a day where I'm just home. Thursdays is, I call it my night, right? It's the night where I get to either do nothing or I use that night to hang out with some friends, but it is my night. Friday is my visiting my in-laws, and then Saturday is date night with my wife. Now I will say two things. Tuesday and Wednesday nights are the nights are basically my wife's nights. So depending on if she's going to go out with her friends Tuesday night or Wednesday night, she has some flexibility there. But this is what we try to do. Now, that being said, life happens. So Valentine's Day is, this Friday. So we're going to be doing something this Friday. So we're going to go see my in-laws on Thursday. And then I'm going to take the kids Saturday night so my wife can have a day off, right? So you're going to be moving things around. You're not going to be rigid with how you approach this. So if you miss something, move it to another day. But the key is to try and get everything done on a weekly basis. And when you miss a week, just try not to miss the next week. And so if you take that approach and you try to just hit realistic goals, realistic tasks on a weekly basis, you're over a year, you might you might be 60 to 70% in terms of completing all your goals across all your life areas. But if you take this approach, I have found, at least in my personal life, that not only do you follow it much more consistently, it's a lot more realistic, and you can do conscious trade-offs. So for example, if I decide not to work out today, I know I didn't work out yesterday, so that's 2 days in a row I missed. So then tomorrow I'll probably try to do 15,000 steps instead of 10,000, and maybe add a couple more workouts or a couple more different sets and reps to my workout for tomorrow. And so it helps me to have a flexible life, but still have some guardrails so that I'm working towards the goals I have for my next decade. But yeah, that's pretty much my approach to life planning. Hopefully you found it helpful. But yeah, have a great day.